So, students often ask me, how do I get a high grade? So I created this little chart. It works for most students in most situations, or it does for me anyway. So if you're one of my students, you might want to look at this. So if we look down the left there, we can see the different grades are usually available. So a fail, at some universities that's below 40. If you want a program that has a pass, merit distinction rating, you can see that on the left there. If you're at university, you can see the percentages there on the second column. So when I look at marking work, I tend to look at 5 key areas. So this is theory, Harvard referencing, contextualization, range of references, and writing style. So if you're going to fail, you'd use very little or no theory whatsoever. You wouldn't attempt to reference what you'd written. You wouldn't contextualize, you'd just kind of describe the theory there. So there'd be no analysis of the theory. You just put it in the assignment and not state how it works for a company or anything. As it says there, no references are cited, so there can't be a range. And once again, you have a very bad structure and format. It's a bit all over the place. There's no flow to it or anything like that. The pass grade stuff has simplistic or basic theory. So a lot of people just use very generic things. It seems to be, especially within business studies, people learn one thing and they love it and they try and apply it to every situation. I tell you now, I am sick of seeing a SWOT. A SWOT cannot get you out of every little assignment you ever write. Okay, so that's my next point about not specific to the actual model. I'm sick of seeing SWOTs and pestles places they shouldn't be. Once again, if we go to pass for an attempt, you Harvard referencing, so you have attempted it, it's a bit inconsistent, limited sources, incoherent Harvard referencing, etc. Contextualization, once again, you've only really explained the theory. It's very loosely linked to the business, but it can't be seen how it would help with the business. Range of references, once again. I know we live in a digital age, but just using website is not a range of references. Okay, we want to see using different things. That doesn't mean to say you don't use, just on the web alone, you can have journals, you can have ebooks and things like that. So we're not saying they all have to be the physical text version, but we want to see a range of them, not just website. Also there as well, not appropriate for the level that you're after. Okay, so we don't want to see dictionary.com. It's very weak, is that? And once again, it links back to my first point about theory. Same again, said it many times, spelling, punctuation and grammar, big thing. If I can't read it, I can't give you the high marks. Next thing, we're looking at merit band, that 50 to 60, 60 to 70. When looking at the theory, once again, there's no analysis of the theory. We want you to analyse the theory. All the theories do not work in every situation, so why wouldn't it work? Why would it work? And that's where we can bring into the next bit, the 60 to 70, is where we cross-reference theory. Okay, according to this, they said that, but somebody else said something different. So this is where you're starting to analyse the theory as well. Okay, you don't have to take everything as face value. Just because it's written down doesn't make it right. Harvard referencing, once again, you're generally on the right lines. You know roughly what you're doing. It's there or thereabouts. Contextualization, once again, all the theory or most of the theory is then linked to the business, so it has to be linked to the company that you're talking about. Most business case studies, most business assignments, give you a case study, and therefore we want you to link the theory back to the case study. Why is that a useful bit of theory? Don't just show off and look, I know all these different theories. So what is what I'll always write in your feedback. What does that mean? Range of references, once again, using loads of different types. Once again, now we're starting to look at the dates as well of your reference, and the 2 key things I look for are either the most up-to-date source, unless you're citing an original theory, then I want you to try and find the original theory as well. So if you're doing Maslow's hierarchy of needs, have you gone back to the original 1940s theory? Same again with writing style, so it should have a good structure, a good flow. I always say, imagine there's a piece of string that goes through it all. But that then also links, don't forget about linking up your introduction to your conclusion. An introduction is setting up what I'm about to read. A conclusion is kind of, if I just read your conclusion, do I know what your assignment's about, just off your conclusion alone? Then finally, that high grade, the distinction grade. Once again, this works for most modules across the board, what I teach, most levels. When we look at distinction, it's counter-reference theory. Once again, any statement that you make, it's all referenced. As I said, you are analysing the theory, so you're not just taking all the theory at face value. You say whether it's good, whether it's bad, when it'll work, when it won't work, etc. Harvard referencing, we're looking there that it's all spot on, no mistakes. If you want the distinction, your Harvard reference has to be spot on every time. Definition of quality, getting it right first time, every time, so we can look at that. Contextualization, there is not a bit of theory in there that you haven't used within your answer. It's not just a theory dump area, everything is used, and as it says they're implicitly linked. Okay, so it's very hard to see almost where the theory stops and the case study starts. An excellent range of up-to-date references, so all of them using the latest thinking to really try and shape your thought process. And then if we look at academic writing style, once again it has a nice flow, everything's correctly used. Tense, that's a big one that seems to catch a lot of students out. The tense is correct, etc, etc. Just a little word on this as well though, it is not a case of, say you got 60 to 70 within theory, Harvard referencing, contextualization in range and references, but your spelling and punctuation and grammar was rubbish and therefore you got 40 to 50 in that area. It doesn't mean you will average out a high grade. Think of this as the lowest one you get is the lowest mark you will get. So if you got a, as I say, a 67 to 4 in 4 of the 5 categories, but in the 5th one you really got a low grade, that low grade is what you will ultimately come out with. Okay, we don't work on an average scale here. This just gives us an area to make sure you hit everything, and everything's got to be up to standards. We're in academia now. It's about developing good quality things. So, answer the question: how do I get a high grade? You've got to look at things such as your referencing and your range of references, your use of theory and how you contextualize that back to the question that was set, and look at your overall writing style as well. Make sure it's a good quality academic writing style that has a flow, a structure and a format. Okay guys, good luck.